Okay, press the button.
My only regret is I do not, in fact, have a giant lever that I can pull.
So we can yell, wrong lever!
Well, yes, there's that, but also pulling a giant lever is so satisfying to do. It really is.
Chunk!
Yeah, it's like putting a car
I will take
into
your
gear.
word for it.
How many levers are in the Bucephalus?
It depends on when you ask.
That's concerning. We're live, aren't we?
Yes. Well,
That's
live as a pre-recording is.
Yeah, we're recording. Okay. Hi, this is Beth. Welcome to GURPS Wars, and we are, having finished an arc on the logistics trio, going to go back to the smugglers. The itinerant merchants who only occasionally carry cargo that is perhaps not legal at the destination, or maybe it wasn't legal to ship at the point of origin, or maybe it's perfectly legal on all sides except for the part where you're not paying taxes on it. You know, one of those things. It's hard being a merchant. Really it is. Space super. Spoober. Right. So, who remembers what happened last time, or should I be reading from my notes?
Nobody remembers. It's been a year. You just woke up from the coma.
You are probably going to need to...
That would be something I could do, but I'm not...
Yeah, you will probably need to fill us in with notes, because
we are conducting a prison break.
Yes, we are doing
Sorry,
a prison
I talked
break.
over Crash.
No, that's fine. That is totally fine. Imagine, if you will, Rotini is there going, Utini, 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 Utini. But no one understands Utini in the audience. So Zorak has to step in and actually say what's going on.
Okay, you back on Alderaan found a ragtag bunch of Imperials who missed the boat when everyone was decamping. They were sneaking around. They were thinking about trying to steal the Bucephalus because they saw the Bucephalus come in. And Zorak grabbed one of them and levitated her over, and she promptly went, "My lord, we're saved!" or words to that effect. And therefore a bunch of ragtag Imperials got smuggled onto the ship and taken home. Well, sort of home. Taken to a meeting point that is sufficiently not in Republic space as to be getting shot at. The Imperials were expecting other ships to come in, troop transports. They can't check the hyperlanes being used, but a Republic-friendly ship could. Please find out what happened to the Imperial ships. You have a contact for that, Captain Travas. They provided you with credits, Republic credits even. If necessary, they have some Republic captives that they could strand somewhere that you could then, quote, rescue, unquote, and probably get paid that way. After a little diversion with pirates and whatnot, you found an Imperial ship broken and adrift in black space, except for the Hutt ships and employees stripping it for parts. Their boss, Wissy the Hutt. Where's the crew? Well, you managed to get them to say, well, probably going to be auctioned to the highest bidder at Ord Mantell. Wissy's stomping grounds are in Woolport. So you landed there. You had a long walk because you took the cheap seats, basically, cheap berth. You got a taxi. You hired a taxi for that. You passed another similar class ship on the way, so there's two ships that are like yours. It's slightly different visually because of customizations, but it's a Corellian freighter. Rotini bought a whole bunch of souvenirs, mostly wearable, wearing all of them. Card shark visor, ball cap, pair of fake ears, all branded for Ord Mantell. Yep, and the stuffed hut is also an explosive.
Well, it is now.
Exactly. Zisha contacted her criminal contact, who did some research, and will mostly send her public stuff that she doesn't care if people know that she's auctioning it to the Freeze Player House auction. It's got an auction house. It frequently, batches up an auction. It's like every few months or so. All kinds of things. For semi-private auctions, like for moving people who are technically not supposed to be being treated as merchandise, because technically Ord Mantell is part of the Republic at this point in time, I believe. It's the government is extremely paid for, bought, sold, etc. by criminal elements. So the Republic has the Republic presence is either fighting a losing battle or being a bit corrupt itself because it got in contact with too much credits. So if for semi-private things, there would be Castellan's, which is a little bistro in the Freeze Player House, and her own palace/apartment. She might auction things one by one. She would probably be keeping that merchandise at Dorona Warehouses. It's a little private warehouse. Small ships can land there. It's too small for Bucephalus to land right there. Let me see. Is that all of the... Zwolrock went to try to meditate on things and got the strange scuttling of multitudes of legs and the whispering of voices, which is something he tends to get if he has visions regarding your extremely always tired researcher who is still on your ship. You're planning to go look at the Freeze Player House. You had a use serendipity for a ship of Bucephalus' style and relative make. Okay. I believe Ellie was fading, so that's approximately where ended off, where you're basically, there's a landing pad, and you've put a shuttle onto it, or possibly Bucephalus.
You took a taxi.
Yeah, you took a taxi to this location. I just had Bucephalus there because it looks good. It's a cute little Lego Bucephalus.
I remember the taxi because it figures into my plan.
Ah, excellent. Okay, you have gotten a basically kiosk-style map of the place, which is what I'm going to use for you to move around. It's got a weapons check location where you are directed to check your weapons and not wander around with blasters. They have problems. It causes damage to property.
I don't have any weapons. I just have these little plush characters. I love them all. They are my children.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to make you make a holdout roll.
Well, fortunately, Ellie looked at my character sheet and realized that my holdout should be higher. And also, that's a crit.
That is a critical success. You only have little plush toys and Reuben sandwiches, and you managed to convince the droid responsible for scanning people for weapons that you have no weapons. Somehow, you have matched.
They did find electronics in the hut, but then I squeezed it and it went, oh, ho, ho.
Mm-hmm. Sounds about right. Box. Oh, ho, ho. Bring me the Wookiee. Oh, ho, ho.
It has 36 unique phrases.
Most of them are in Huttese.
Yes. There is a 1 in 36 chance that when I squeeze it, one of the phrases will say, I'm a 3-second bomb.
Ho, ho, ho. Fortunately, you didn't get that one.
I have no weapons. However, Zwolrock probably does have, like, a cloak, and bandana is not quite the right word, but you know those hooded cloaks that include a half-face mask?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. We did go clothing shopping for Zwolrock.
Mm-hmm. Zwolrock. Zisha makes holdout by 1. What are you holding out?
My knife.
Okay.
I'm handing over my blaster.
You succeed in holding out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm handing over my blaster.
Okay. You succeed in holding out your knife.
No, Zisha holds out her blaster to hand it over.
Okay, point.
Hidden.
Point taken.
No, the point is kept. The knife is the pointy one.
Soundboard, open soundboard, fish.
The best part was you walked yourself through what you were doing. I knew what you were doing without you saying anything, but still.
I had to do it for the recording.
Oh, I love these games.
You are permitted to enter into the long hallway that leads to the showrooms. This being an electronic brochure, there, showroom 1 is actually listed as having things in it, as is showroom 2. There's security, there's fine dining, there's the auction area, there's Castellan's Bistro, which is where you're told you can make contacts for slightly illicit things. Beyond it is the casino for the Freeze Player House Casino. Has a kitchen/bar so that can bring you snacks from the casino, etc. There's security, etc. There's a little spot down the hall that has a lift to other levels of this extremely large, basically somewhere between a skyscraper and a I have blanked on the term arcology. It is close to an arcology, except it does not have food production in it. Probably. You haven't seen the basement. There might be hydroponics in the basement. Where are you headed first?
Assuming that the showrooms don't have, Imperial officer listed, I'm headed for the bistro.
Okay. I mean, they do not say that they are displaying Imperials. They might not. The whole Republic technically being there means that it has to be a little bit sub rosa. The Republic does not approve of buying and selling Imperial officers. You're supposed to turn them over to the Republic out of the goodness of your heart. And possibly a small cash prize.
Would you prefer that I accompany you, or would that give those you wish to meet too much of the right impression?
I award Zulrock 1 Cipher System XP.
It's up to you. I'm not going to complain if you do. Wouldn't hurt to have the backup.
Excellent. Then I will accompany you.
The showrooms, one is currently being done. It has signs as you pass showroom 1, is Pangala's Couture. I cannot pronounce that word. Showroom 2 is Rick Duo's Curations.
I believe both are pronounced Utini.
They are if you say them in Jawa.
That is how I choose to, because I also don't know how to pronounce couture.
Say cut?
Cut.
Cut to? The bistro?
Nope. Then say sure.
Cut sure?
Sure.
Couture.
Couture.
Bless you.
Yes,
Gesundheit.
we all knew it was coming.
We all knew it was coming. Couture. I'm sorry. It's clothing. There's images, holos of clothing as you pass showroom 1. Everyone can determine this.
Is it clothing that the average person would like, clothing that Antuxa would like, or clothing that Zulrock would like?
It is clothing that Antuxa would like, and even Antuxa might consider that the prices are a bit, you're partly paying for the name of the designer, who is Lully Pangala.
Well, my understanding was Antuxa made her own, so...
Yes, and therefore she knows what the markup is.
Yeah.
Streetwise roll.
Never stand up in the desert.
Streetwise. Make a streetwise roll. What are you streetwise?
I did make a streetwise roll.
Yes, you did. You did. Okay,
it was
by 3.
To figure out
Sorry.
whether any of the things in the showrooms, are those names code for something?
Pangala is a name that you know because you have occasionally transported knockoff copies that are spelled, Paugala and such. She's extremely expensive. And most of that's the name, frankly, you think. But wow, you have to be like status 4 to even think about pulling this outfit off, because indeed, that's probably not code for anything. Rick Duo's Curations, you'd have to look. That's not a name you actually recognize. You'd have to see what's in there. They might be legit. This place probably has some legit stuff. You were told to go to Castellan's Bistro by your contact.
Yes.
So
That I remember. I just want to check what's currently in the showroom.
you think that the showrooms, you'd have to look and see what the curations actually were to be positive, but the first one, if you stick your head in, those do look like actual legitimate Pangala things from what you've actually transported once.
Okay, and they're hollows. They're not on live models.
There are hollows on the wall leading up to the door. If you stick your head in the door, there are droids posing attractively in the things. There are static clothing mannequins. There are some people walking around in them. The people may be there just to be decorative. Some of them are wearing lesser items that are probably still designed by Pangala, but they appear to be assisting individuals in choosing things or displaying a droid that is posing, or no,
Okay.
there are no gonk droids in here.
Let me save you some time.
Okay.
I am thinking if I had captured Imperial soldiers to sell at auction, how would I do it?
You would probably
One of the ways I can think of to do it is by staging a clothing sale and having them be the models. Another way I can think to do it is just by calling them curations.
Indeed, those are both possible options.
So I want to check on the showroom to make sure that by going to meet my contact, I'm not missing the auction.
Good point. Showroom 1 does not have anyone who looks particularly like an Imperial who has been threatened or drugged into fancy dresses or robes or a suit. Showroom 2, I assume you're checking it personally?
Yes, that's my intent.
Okay. Showroom 2 has a minimalist museum. It does not look to have any actual people in it. It has like an engine of some kind. It has some stone tablets. It's got a fancy hood with some sketchier robes that look like this is a reconstruction.
It's Ripley's
No.
Believe It or Not Star Wars edition.
Shulrock is going to drift over and peer at those.
There is a yak-looking alien creature that is going around and trying to sorry, blanking on words again, interest people in all of these strange, somewhat old, has some kind of interesting history to it. There's a very large droid standing in the back of the room glaring at people. The tablets appear to be some kind of legal code. It's in a very old version of Galactic Basic.
None
That's
of
a little-
this stuff looks like a potential lead on, say, the stuff Shulrock thinks of as from their tomb.
This does not look like it has a lot of Sith, ancient Sith interest overall. There's a few things that might be old enough to be interesting, but they don't appear to be Imperial.
In that case, Shulrock no longer cares about them.
So Rotini is confident that his companions are investigating things and finding their own interests. He wants to take a look at infrastructure. It's not always hidden. Frequently, you've got the conduit pipes and stuff, and sometimes it's aesthetically worked into the construction for convenience or whatever. But how much power are they putting in various places? And, well, there's a thing on the map labeled Showroom 1. You described that. There's Showroom 2. You described that. There's also Empty Showroom. Now, if it's 100% empty and not being used, it doesn't really need a lot of infrastructure to be powered on. But is it?
You will have to actually get into a panel or stick your head in the empty showroom door. It is locked, but that might or might not stop you. Or you'd have to get into a power panel and start futzing
I'm
around
not
with
going to
things.
levitate the door off its hinges. That would be absurd. But is there a panel that I might be able to inspect remotely through a tablet or perhaps, in meat space?
I think that you will probably have to duck behind a potted plant of some kind and find a panel that will get you access to the electronics. I will require a perception roll at -2. This place is kind of fancy. They're hiding their electronics panels.
With the
Made it.
-2, I made it by 2.
You can find one after hunting around a while. And start working on that. Zisho,
I'm a tourist. I'm allowed to hunt around.
You're a Jawa. You might need to make a stealth roll at some point.
I am
But
half covered in plushies. I am clearly a tourist. I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt over the robe.
Point.
I might not have been wearing that before I arrived here, but I'm wearing it now.
I will get back to what you discover off of that after going Zisha. Having checked the showrooms, is there anything else you want to check?
No, I'm headed to the bistro.
Okay. The bistro is a bunch of little tables, not pictured, of various sizes for various party size. You can have like little single one, 2 people, 3, 15. There's a little central bar and restaurant area that is staffed by a bunch of droids primarily. And let me just quickly scan my... Come on. Where are my notes? Here's my notes. Give me my notes. And some human wait staff to actually serve, walk out and serve people and whatnot. There's menus that you can pluck one up, and it features cuisine local to Ord Mantell. And someone will see you looking at the menus and whatnot and come up and go, "Do you have a reservation?"
Do I have a reservation?
I'm not sure you got a reservation.
Oh, I'm meeting someone.
Indeed, ma'am. And who would you be meeting?
Do I have a name for the contact?
Let's see. My notes do not say that you have a name for the contact, and from reviewing it, you merely know that this is where you would go to talk to someone regarding WeSee's semi-private auctions, ones that are somewhat more invite-only from her perspective.
Did you say a droid was saying this?
This one is an actual human. The droids are behind the counter.
I'm confused. I thought I was supposed to meet someone here.
We are meeting someone. You may seat us.
I don't have you selected. Okay. Yes, of course, you're meeting someone. Please, this way. Are there 2, 3 in your party? Are you with the small person looking... Please instruct your Jawa where the restrooms are. They're off. Makes
That's right.
a gesture.
I am behind a potted plant. They might be assuming I'm doing something I'm not doing.
We're looking for a place to do what you're not doing.
Interestingly, funnily enough, it's better that they assume that.
Well, you're meeting someone here. You've got to be high enough class that you're not going to try and rob the place. You will be escorted to a table and inquired as to the name of the person that you are meeting or their employer's name. You can almost certainly bluff into you have fast talk for one, or streetwise. You can probably bluff into you don't know their name, but you know what the subject is that you are meeting them about. Oh, yeah.
Made it by 2.
Made it by 2. Yes.
I will bluff them by saying that I know what the subject is about.
The subject is about WeSee the Hutt's.
It's about goods acquisitions and redistribution.
Yes. There will be an Ah, of course. I will inform them immediately. You are somewhat concerned. The prices on this menu are, a lot of them say things like standard market price. But you have menus. And you have water. Water is apparently free or else something. Or else it's part of someone's paying for it somewhere. Quick
This item
cut.
on the menu is its price is just a mathematical formula. Usually when I use
Concerning.
this formula, I'm figuring out like how many kilonewtons an explosion's going to be.
I believe they are attempting to ascertain that as well.
I'm not sure I want this food.
I'm dragging.
We have
The explosion appears metaphorical.
successfully set up a map so that it takes as long to traverse a corridor as it would in real life.
I don't know. These corridors are really long. This is a
It might be easier to copy
Convention
paste
center.
our characters over and then delete the originals. It's you'll have to use a teleportation system. This is actually going to be a Star Trek game.
beam you up,
Energize.
beam you up, beam you down, energize. Give me a appropriate electronics type roll to operation would do to determine which rooms have actual power to them as if they are being examined, looked at, whatever.
I'm going to do electronics operation because that's 18. Operation is only
Yep.
11.
Yeah. Made
Made
by
by
4.
4.
The empty showroom appears to have power consumption equivalent to something that's empty. The other showroom, everything else seems to be powered appropriately. Security, those empty rooms by security are probably holding cells or contain holding cells with them. There's stuff underneath that has power. You're probably not going to find it out by determining power. You can try and stay back there and see if you can eventually try to hack the security cams, but that may take you a while. Cutting back to another Twi'lek fellow emerges from a back room, not pictured on the map, and comes over. He's a reasonably good red color, very few tattoos that many Twi'leks have, but on their leku and such. Comes over, pulls up a chair and sits down with Zwolrock and Zisha. You're here about Weesy's merchandise.
Yes, we hear it's
Recent,
going up for auction soon.
that's true. Recent acquisitions or older ones?
Fairly recent.
What quantities are you buying in?
How many Imperial soldiers were there?
Glances around with a certain amount of people. Why do you say
That was not in character. I'm asking the GM.
Oh, you're asking the GM. Okay, sorry. A whole transport ship? There's
Character,
easily...
the player
Okay.
does not know how many that is.
Right. I'm trying to remember what I said. There's probably about a dozen officers who are the prime people you want to get according to the captain. The captain wants as many people as possible, but the troops don't know anything to be interrogated in the office tonight. So you got about a dozen officers and probably about 100 troops and ship crew, another dozen.
I believe the lot I heard about was about 100 items, maybe 8% of higher quality.
He nods. You're well informed.
I have my ways.
I hope the SIS is giving you a good amount of credits to get them. They ought to just show up themselves. For the listeners, the SIS is the term for the Republic Intelligence.
Oh, Rotini can't do business with them again. Not after the incident.
Rotini,
Not the incident.
It was the noodle incident specifically.
no, you cannot do business with them again.
It's for those listening. That's where he placed a bomb in some spaghetti.
Probably. I mean, this
No,
is
no,
Rotini. They can.
You never explained the noodle incident.
It was
Yeah, but
cup
for
noodles,
Rotini-
wasn't it?
For Rotini, you put a bomb in some spaghetti.
Or better
I
yet,
mean,
every
yeah.
time you explain the routine, every time you explain the noodle incident, it's a different explanation. Rotini's favorite is that noodle was Rotini's code name. Imagine I'm
See,
making
now
a
I-
face at the camera like that dog in the meme for I just told a pun.
Remind me that during the break I have something to talk about. Yes, well, they should do a lot of things themselves, shouldn't they? But then they wouldn't be who they are.
You think they have somebody on the planet already. All right. Starting bids on the riffraff. They might be decent as security or something if you put a shot collar on them. Are going for 5,000 credits starting bid. Trained starship crew, 8,000. The ones with fancy bars on their uniform, those start at 15,000 and up.
That's pretty rich. She's going to make forgive me for saying so, a killing.
That's the
But
hope.
any chance I can inspect the merchandise?
Sorry. That is a fairly poor reaction roll. Would you care to do something that would improve that reaction roll? He's sort of making the looking you over and not inclined to say yes expression.
When you say do something, I assume that I don't know what I can do.
Oh, okay.
I know what I can do, but the listeners might not know what kinds of things they can do. What kinds of things I can do to
We do need to
improve my
explain to
reaction
the
roll.
audience, yeah.
Okay. I mean, whatever if you think would work for a. I needed to get more sleep and not phone call me up.
Sorry.
Social roles?
Yeah, influence roll. Influence roll. Social
that's
roll.
the word.
A bribe. That counts as influence. Mind tricks. One of those things.
Well, that's really useful GCS.
Not mind tricks. Shulrock is not cutting in right at this moment because Shulrock does not want to draw this person's attention to look closely at them unless it becomes necessary to go, oh, the SIS didn't send us.
You've got, looking at your page
Thank
here.
you, Mario, but your reference is in another book.
Oh no. You've got diplomacy, you've got fast talk, you've got merchant. I would consider merchant to be something that could be, you've got savoir-faire.
I think merchant is actually the best of those.
Yeah. I mean, it's how can you expect such prices to be paid sight unseen, and hate to waste time, etc. Made by one. Do you wish to make the argument or take the GM's choice? You succeeded, so.
Now, I understand that you have security to maintain and that on the one hand, your employer wants everybody to know that they can trust her. But on the other hand, I haven't done business with your employer before, and I need to be able to verify that what I'm placing a bid on is the real deal. That they have proper Imperial training, that, they are who they say they are. They could be random civilians dressed up in surplus Imperial outfits. I really would.
Understood.
I know that, but also they could be Imperial spies deliberately sent to a transport ship to be captured so that they can give, bad information to anyone who interrogates them. It's just better for everybody if we all know what we're dealing with.
We are not responsible for bad information from
No, of course not.
But you want to, I can...
Well, I don't want my employer to be disappointed either.
This is against my better judgment. I can easily take you to see the common merchandise and the ship crew. The fancy ones are stored off-site. I'd have to get
No, that's completely understandable.
I'd have to get permission for you to view them and give you appropriate codes so you would be treated as intruders.
Of course, that's going to be more difficult for you. I understand completely. Could I examine one of the common merchandise?
Yes, just a moment. Let me inform security. All right. He talks into a... Whoops. That's not what I want to do. I want to reload that. I want to configure that. I want to configure lighting. so that you can see everything because there's all right. Then I want to copy. I really ought to drag spare. Yes, I don't have a good one. Never mind. Okay, I'm going to copy everyone. You are all properly selected. I think so. Copy. And now I'm going to activate this one. Hey, whoa, this one was a lot smaller. I don't need.
I'm huge.
You're all huge.
And on that day, Rotini grew many sizes, not 3 sizes. Rotini
Basically-
is the Tarask. Rotini drops a micro grenade. It detonates half a city block.
Obviously, I was trying to not have the map be quite that big, and now it is. Sigh.
Well, also, our characters were scaled up a lot for the other map.
Yes.
So if you
I'm going
copy-pasted them, you copy-pasted the scale. Wait, no.
And
they
now
didn't
I'm going
copy-paste
to-
the scale.
Yeah, that copy pasted the
That's-
scale, all right.
Oh, wait, scale 3. Yeah, it did.
I'm going to
Rotini.
configure this grid. Gridless. No grid. There. I'm
Why,
going
when
to
I
make
went down
routine.
to 0.8, did I get bigger?
I don't
There we
know. I'm putting it 0.5.
I'm
You
still
vanished.
bigger than everyone because I went to 0.8.
Okay. I'm using a NPC.
Hey, what's her name? I said, hey, it's what's her name?
What's her name?
From the place.
I'm pretty sure she was in the Hutt's Palace on.
Oh, this is actually a fellow, and yes, there were some of those in the Hutt's Palace. And despite the fact that the icon is green, that you are speaking with is a red fellow. So,
Okay.
I'm just
Also-
going to. This is what I got.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate that the map has a label on it that says apartments and hotels / space B&B rooms?
Yes.
Well, it can't be Airbnb, We're not using
breathing right now.
airplanes.
We're not in the Matrix.
but we're not flying on airplanes.
Not with that attitude.
The ceiling is
Okay,
not big
People
enough.
use suborbital shuttles for that.
Rotini would prefer rocket propulsion, but that's Rotini, and people don't tend to let Rotini do that.
Poor Rotini, who is now in a tiny, tiny thing.
I am stifled. Stifled, I tell you. Rotini is to scale. Look at Zolrak. Zolrak is the biggest of us. Look at Rotini. This is to scale.
Yeah, I think that kind of is to scale.
You get to go through a security door. There's another security room in here. There are some doors leading off of it. There's a fairly large room beyond one of them, which has basically a bunch of force walls set up that each have 3 to 5 rather scruffy looking Imperials and an extremely tiny porta fresher thing. Because even if shows don't show where the freshers are, we don't need to worry. I don't want to deal with asking, how do they go to the bathroom? Porta fresher.
I'm told the ship will clean itself.
No. It's been about an hour. Should we take a break?
We can take a break.
Sure.
Okay, let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
And that's when I said, punchline.
I need to open the soundboard, not disconnect.
It's okay. Ellie did the rim shot,
Good.
and then you did the fish slap.
Yes. While you've been trundling along following the fellow, who is not given a name, Rotini has been looking for spots where he can tuck little thimble grenades that will cause diversions by taking out power junction type things.
Yes,
I am
rolls
going
were made
to
in the
ask-
background.
Hmm?
Rolls were made in the background, and I'm prepared to make more rolls if asked.
Okay. I would ask for. This is not in. I mean, you like the explosives. I'm going to ask for an explosives -5. Ha 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 ha. But does make it failable to
does make it
figure out
failable.
good places to put them. And I am also going to want an IQ perception rolls. Okay, you made that one by 3. Perception rolls to see where the cameras are facing so that you can actually figure out where to put them. Missed by 1. All right.
I
Thank
don't see all of the cameras.
you. You do not see all the cameras, and you're not necessarily watching to see what sweep those things are on. Okay. Are you planting things as you go along?
Well, I'm not going up to each potted plant and, depositing a seedling. But the goal here is not, let's cause casualties. The goal is, that potted plant is, right next to those conduit lines. It'd be a shame if something, severed them and caused all of those power lines going in this direction to just, not be sending power to that side of the building anymore. And that powers those elevators. That's a shame. That's a shame. That powers those doors. Oh, too bad.
But does it power these force walls that are keeping the sad Imperials?
Well, we haven't seen the sad Imperials yet. So I haven't done that quite yet, possibly. But that's what I was doing upstairs. And I am continuing this downstairs when I think I'm not being seen, but misperception by one. So when I think I am not being seen, to be fair, we have a people person with us and we have Zolrak with us. So I am possibly, even with the Hawaiian print shirt that I'm wearing over a robe and an army of plushies connected to me in some way, I am still somehow not the most distracting person here.
Also, you're a Jawa. You get a certain amount of leeway for being just a little weirdo who is digging in the plants. Maybe you miss your sand.
I do miss my sand. They lied. It is coarse, but it didn't get everywhere. If it got everywhere, it would be here.
I know what you mean.
Sad stormtrooper playing, making a sandcastle on the beach. Aww.
And ignoring the two very funny GIFs that Ellie has found, EO, you have gotten your second Cypher System XP of the evening.
Anyway, you are led into a quite large room that has been pressed into service as a containment room for sad Imperials in a makeshift brig. Basically, there are probably not quite 100. Presumably, there were some casualties when the ship was taken, but
I do not have sleight of hand. How do I not have sleight of hand?
do you have any spare points for it? I don't know.
No.
Oh no.
I would have to take a point away from something.
Cooking 12 isn't
No.
that bad.
No, we need that. You don't want to trust Rotini in the kitchen.
Zolrak has made sense emotion. Whose emotions are you sensing? Just in general, the tenor?
Shwalrock is trying to judge the general condition of the Imperials in the brig.
The general condition of the Imperials in the brig is lightly stoned, sedated.
Oh, no.
Not enough that they aren't capable of walking around, but they are probably not in a non-altered state of mind. They are probably being kept lightly drugged so that they are less likely to try to jump everybody, but they're not unconscious.
They might even be piping it into the air in that particular room.
Well, you've all walked in without any breath things, so if they pipe it in, they pipe it in at different times, or maybe it's in the water.
Rotini did not have the water upstairs, thank you very much. Rotini brought his own.
Oh, I want to say that I accidentally reversed. The SIS is Republic intelligence, and that's what I meant at the time. Yes. And my mouth got confused because I was looking at Imperial tokens to pull onto the map somewhere.
Isn't that...
Beth.
I thought you said it was...
Republic. I thought I said so too, but Ellie heard Imperial, so I don't know anymore. We may have jumped timelines like a micro jump during something.
No. We need to get some esoteric detail wrong. That way, people have a comment war about it, and we get engagement.
I'm getting so many esoteric details completely made up from my head instead of worrying about the expanded universe, so I look forward to the comment wars. Zisha Zisha has made sleight of hand by 2.
Zisha is passing a little slip of paper to one of the Imperials.
Okay.
A little slip of flimsy, I guess.
It
Right.
says, "Do you want to be rescued? Check yes or no."
Well, basically, yeah, you are bid to select which impromptu brig cell you want opened so that you can inspect the merchandise. It's like, here
Okay.
they are. If you want to talk to one, controls are over here.
Actually, my Zisha's perception is not Antux's perception.
Perception failed by 3.
I'm going to spend my inspiration.
Do you have an inspiration? Did I give you inspiration?
No, I'm going to use my serendipity.
And I think that we are
That-
still rolling a serendipity, so you have 2 of them.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with that.
I didn't think
It's very
you would.
serendipitous that you have 2 of them, which
Yes.
means you now have 1.
To have all of the cameras in this room be really obvious.
Okay.
Like this is a "we want you to know you're being watched" room.
That is fine.
And that
You-
one's a camera, and that one's a camera, and that. Are we in a brig?
You are in a brig. I am going to say that the cameras are probably not within easy.
Oh no, I don't want them
Range.
to be within easy range. I don't care about them being in easy range.
You
I
just want them to
where
be
they are.
obvious. Yeah. Okay. The cameras are all obvious cameras. They are not in easy range. I'm just going to make that detail, but you can definitely see where they are because they are in the appropriate corners, and there's probably one central one, and they have not bothered to put the fancy mirror globe on the central one, so you can't see where it's looking.
Right.
You can see where it's looking. It seems like primarily they want to be able to see if anyone is messing with the controls for the cells or with the door itself.
Oh, I
Gotcha.
never mess with that.
That is not what I wanted to do.
Rewind.
No, the problem with having my character sheet minimized up in the upper left-hand corner is that it's right next to the edge of it is right next to the train tunnel party map.
Oh,
And so when I click in the wrong place, I get a different map.
I should make those maps vanish for you people, shouldn't I?
My end goal is I am picking a Imperial soldier pretty much at random. One of the more intelligent looking ones.
One of the ones who looks slightly less stoned.
Yes. And blocking the view of the camera so I can pass them the flimsy and have them read it.
Okay.
And the flimsy basically says, when you hear me say, insert nonsense phrase. Let's say the raven calls for calf. You say, the calf is in the latrine. And I am really hoping that he's not stoned enough that he can actually,
He's
follow
just
that
stoned
instruction.
enough to open
No,
a philosophical
I
discussion
have
with you.
something I would like to do.
All right. He's certainly reading the
Schwalrock would like to examine the prisoner a little bit physically. I'm going to jerk them around a little bit looking at things. But what they actually would like to do, I don't know what exactly I would roll here. It would either be healing other or alchemy, but I want to try to undrug him with the force.
I am
Force
figuring
detox.
force detox. I think that's probably healing other. And yeah.
And took undrugged somebody with force other. So
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I didn't make you
you a precedent, dear.
it is not and it wasn't penalized, was it?
It was not.
Okay. You are not penalized you have no minuses.
I think it's better when you hear that one of us is moving away from the microphone as they are still conversing. I love that aesthetic. It's really nice to do that aesthetic. It really is. All I did for that was turn my chair around.
Yeah, because you have the fancy mic that
I have a fancy mic and a fancy adapter to hook it up to my fancy computer. Yeah.
I'm going to come back down the hall now, and I'm trusting the Droll Rock hasn't done anything untoward with my prisoner.
just a healing other by 5 to purge the stuff. You did a little, you did a little shake. You sort of turned to look in their eyes. You focused on them with your hand upon their, Chin. Zisha has rolled one die. It was a 6. It went away. Okay.
I'm trying things to see if I can narrow down a bug because it's not there isn't an error showing up in my console.
Ah. And you've got the can't see the dice bug again.
Yes.
Check the dice so nice. There was a bug where it was reverting at some point. Okay, so the soldier that you have picked, who I'm going to arbitrarily say is soldier number, the token number 1, so that I have something to actually roll, sort of blinks several times. He kind of focuses. He stares at Zwolrock and mouths what is clearly my lord at them, and looks again at the flimsy, looks kind of baffled, but just sort of, it's tucked in his hand, and then, crumples his hand around it and mutters something about latrine under his breath as if he is fixing a term in his mind.
Zwolrock very solemnly, beneath their hood, winks at him.
And to make sure it's noticed, Zorok winks with both eyes.
No!
That's what
Like a
Rakini would do.
Don't do that.
Like a cat doing a friendly blink. No. I'm not going to make you make a sense emotion on this one. You are just right there, possibly even still touching. There is sudden hope from drugged depression to confusion to hope. So, Rock, you are just making so many people hopeful. Okay. We sees Twi'lek over by the Twi'lek employee over by the controls says, well,
All right. You've been fairly treated.
the prisoner makes a sort of shrug, nod.
That's about what we can expect. And you're well. You're not sick. You're not injured.
There's something in the water or the air. And if we don't...
Again, to be expected.
Yeah.
All right. The Raven calls for Kath.
Yeah, it's in the latrine.
Thank you. That'll be all. I've seen what I need to see.
Right. Okay. Confusion, but hope. Settles back down, continues to act drugged. How well is he acting? Pass talk by 1. Okay.
I am going to pull up close to the other Twi'lek. Okay, he had the counter phrase. We know that they're legitimate goods. All right. How long do we have until the auction? I want to get things. I mean, you know how they are. They don't want to make the locals feel like they're being squeezed,
The base lot, frankly, you make an offer for enough of them to take away immediately at the base price. You can get as many as you want of these lot. The fancier ones, they're going to go for about 3 days, I think, ought to give enough time for representatives to show up.
All right. I'll see what I can do. Do you have a frequency I can contact you on?
Pulls out does the share frequency. It will have presumably a name attached. And I am going to find a Twi'lek name generator and make it generate a name. It is Zethubra.
Zethubra.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll call soon.
All right. Any in particular you want me to try to save out for you, or?
The one I spoke to and his group.
All right. That's your definites then.
But I'll see what I can do. They I don't exactly have a discretionary budget.
You'd think that they just buy the whole lot. They could probably offer a cheaper amount, but...
You think, but, well, SIS does what SIS does. Who knows what goes on in their heads.
Wissy thinks she can make more at auction anyway, so...
Yeah.
You know how...
That's the way it goes. Oh, of course I do. I just... Where was it we dealt with one recently?
Nar Shaddaa?
Yeah, but I'm not going to say Nar Shaddaa.
There's so many huts on Nar Shaddaa. You could say Nar Shaddaa. You could just say dealt with one recently.
What was his name? Grogu? Something like that. Anyway, yeah. Nar Shaddaa, Grogu the Hutt. Something about... Oh, that's right. We delivered that crate of
Ellie has
I'll remember it
System
soon.
XP.
What was it that
I-
you prayed of that you're...
Sorry, 3 of us were busy laughing. What was that?
No, I only caught a glimpse of it as he opened the crate. I was being ushered out.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah, they get something rare. They want to look at it in private before they display it for everybody to see. So that I saw a hut once had another hut in carbonite hanging on their wall.
Oh yeah, I'll
Very
do
strong
that.
wall.
Anyway, I'm going to let you get back to your. Can you show me the way back to the landing pad? I got to call a taxi back to.
Oh sure, it's up. It's simple. It's up this way.
They give me taxi fare.
Well, that's something. Escorts you to the little elevator lifts. There are 2 of them. One doesn't have an up button, only has down buttons. You are on a very tall arcology. There are lower levels, but there's not really an upper one. Beyond the one that I will pop you over to. Ta-da. And you get an escort over to the landing pad where you can call your taxi.
Okay, I'm going to call my taxi.
Your taxi arrives. You have to wait a few minutes. You can get your weapons back.
Yeah. Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to make a big show out of leaning against a wall and tapping my foot and checking my chrono. And
The whole song and dance, etc., etc. Yeah.
I have better places to be, but SIS wants me here, so
Oh well.
oh well.
Okay. You get your taxi. It arrives. You can step into it impatiently. Everybody else, okay. Rotini, did you leave your little bomblets that you were planting that may or may not have been caught on camera on a timer, or are they remote detonation?
They are remote detonation.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Yep.
Well, Rotini might be overconfident, but Rotini doesn't know exactly what time frame we're on.
Oh, make a perception roll while you're waiting for your taxi. Everyone can
Hooray.
made by 3, made by 1. Zorak.
I am navigating to it.
Okay. Made by 5. As you are awaiting the taxi, a taxi bus shows up with a collection of people who have a basically floating freezer with them that they unload, and they look around and they start trying to head in, and they get stopped by the droid, and there's a discussion about they have to give up their weapons, to which they are just sort of a little bit vague about. The thing about what really is noticeable is that there's a Twi'lek, a blue Twi'lek. There's a human who's very well dressed. There's another fellow who looks like a soldier on leave. There's little alien Ardenian, who's kind of in a scruffy pilot. It looks like a ragtag band of adventurers with Twi'lek, an alien, and a couple of humans. They do not look like they are wearing the same uniforms or anything, but they are clearly all together. They
fatigue to make that roll succeed.
Zisha, you're not a Force user. Do you want to make your spend your serendipity on it? That you just happen
Sure,
to...
why not?
Okay, what are you trying to learn with that roll?
What kind of your description to the player triggered this is the actual SIS group?
I am going to say
Yeah.
that, it could be, but wow, do they not look like they blend in? They look like a bunch of spacers that might have happened to get off of a transport, and they don't even look like the same kinds of spacers.
Yeah,
Well,
but you
when
drew
these
their
people-
the
Sorry.
player is saying, yeah, but you drew our attention to them.
Yes, they look like a bunch of spacers. They have a floating refrigerator unit with them, and they look weird. There is something weird about them. They could be SIS, but if they're SIS, those are the most stand out in a crowd SIS you have ever seen?
Of
Like-
course.
Yeah.
What is
I'm
this, SIS
traveling with it.
Academy?
I'm traveling with a Jawa and a Dayglow Sith.
You are an independent merchant ship. This looks like an
I'm-
independent merchant ship. Yeah, true.
I'm sorry. I'm
Sorry,
traveling with
Crash,
a
I keep
Jawa
talking
and a
over you.
Dayglow Sith. I'm sorry.
I am not Dayglow and I am wearing a cloak.
Also, you made your sense emotion by 3. Are you targeting it on any particular one or just the general vibes of that group?
I am trying to sense the vibes of that group. I am kind of trying to sense if there's a force sensitive there, but I don't have a thing written down for that the way you wrote down on the pre-gens.
That would be well, you get a perception roll when people are using the force. Let me just quickly scan a few little things.
Yeah, and you didn't make us spend points for detecting disturbances, so
you have to you spend points to get better at it than just perception.
yeah. Well, that
Okay, give me an
roll is
IQ.
the same as mine.
Yeah, I want an IQ roll from you, Zolrock.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
crit.
Wow.
Thank you.
That's a
Critical
3.
Okay, with a divine intervention,
Yes.
Are you on the side of the angels? Well, possibly.
No.
Terrius shows
Maybe.
up and says, okay, so here's the deal. 1, I'm not even supposed to be here. Never mind about that. Don't overthink it. 2,
Okay, you sense that they have a purpose. They are nervous. They're kind of frustrated because their purpose is being thwarted, but only briefly. They can get around this. They can get around this. They had a plan, and this is just deviating from the plan. There is something about their emotions that, with your critical success, you instantly place. Every time you have done a sense emotion on your just a moment, let me get that on Nedra, your supercargo, your passenger, you have felt this kind of just this something. These are all tired people. They are somewhat less tired than she is, but they are all a little bit tired in the same way. Oh, and that one kind of has some kind of mind shield. It's a little bit hard, but he's still tired too.
are you communicating this to us?
I mean, I'd like to, but I don't know if I can without being overheard.
That's fair.
It's a fairly large landing pad. You could gesture for other people to walk away from where the group is refusing to be divided, and they are towing their refrigeration unit into the weapons check. The door will close behind them after a moment.
Jolrock will still gesture the others a little further away and then lean in and whisper, "They're like Nedra, and I think one of them may be sensitive."
Can I flag the bus driver down?
The bus
Or have they
is, in
taken
fact,
off?
It seems to be waiting.
Ah, okay.
There's a droid in there.
Ah,
the droid is named Murdoch. The person hiding in the fridge is B.A. Baracus.
who is very angry that he has had to fly somewhere.
Yes. The well-dressed human is named Face.
Hey, Ro, I might ask you to do some convincing on that droid.
Utini.
They might need to be brought back to our ship.
Utini. I'm going to walk over to the cab and droid, but not try to make it look like I'm walking over to the droid. I'm going to walk casually.
I mean, it's just sitting there waiting in its little Airbus, well, air SUV, air van.
Zisha has tried out several nicknames for Rotini. Roti got a no. Teeny got an explosive in her underwear drawer.
It was disarmed.
So she settled on Ro.
Anyway,
I imagine I am trying to. Crash has said before the game started that Rotini is still calling Jwolrock Rocky, which I imagine every time it happens gets Rotini force duct taped to upside down to a nearby surface.
The weird thing is, Rotini ends up duct taping himself to the surface, and he doesn't understand why each time he does.
All right. It's flying. It's flying.
Now, so, for suggestion, Rotini is told that's what he wants to do.
Whoops.
Anyway, so
Anyway.
the player is not quite sure how this convincing could be done. Rotini
What are you... Okay.
has some very high skills. That means that Rotini might know how to convince the droid to maybe come over to our ship instead of doing what it's doing.
The player knows that Rotini has computer programming 15, electronics operation 18, electronics repair 19, engineer 18,
Yes, but there's
mechanic 19, and
there's the
if
I
all
make a
else
roll.
fails, explosives 20.
Well, yes, but if I use explosives 20 in this case, the droid will not arrive at the ship in a repairable fashion.
No. You use explosives 20 as a threat.
Intimidation by default.
It's the role
You
play
can-
that I'm not sure how Rotini would go about this. But if you tell me to make a roll, I'll make a roll.
Utini's first thought is probably going to be that if you can get... you could try to ask the droid to come along quietly. It might step out at least long enough for you to get close to it. You can try to get close enough to the droid inside the van to basically hack its internals a little bit. It may or may not be able to resist. People may or may not notice what you're doing.
You'll end up saying that it's completing the repairs while it's standing and staring at a wall.
Yeah. Exactly. You could come up with something else that the GM will tell you whether that's a good idea or not. You could try to fast talk it.
Does it speak
You can
Jawa? I come up and wave and say, Utini.
Does it speak Jawa? Let's make a roll.
And when I say Utini, I say, are you currently taking fares? I heard that there's a bus tour.
The droid turns its head, looks at Rotini, and inquires, I am not taking fares. I am the droid for Miss
Ooh.
Varula. I am the droid for Miss Varula. I am not taking fares.
Miss Varula.
Do you
that
speak-
sounds like an important person.
Good, you understand basic. She is my master.
Good, you understand Jawa.
I am programmed in 73 different languages.
This was the budget model. I do not say that out loud.
Only 73. My goodness. Nobody is saying that in character.
Mm-hmm.
No one in this scene, canonically, is saying it in character. There are multiple people who are like, how quaint. Hello, computer. I will attempt to, through communication with this one, just, having small talk, whatever, be close enough that I might be able to do a little bit of hacking.
You can probably get it to come down to your level if you encourage it to basically open the door and sit on the edge of the hover van. Well, the hover van is landed, and be more face to face with you, or you can try to hop into the van.
I climb up
Oh,
on the
I
wheel
see.
well.
What are you doing? My goodness.
No, it's actually not going to be fussing about this, strangely.
I suspect that I am not the first person to attempt to hack this droid.
Oh, give me a mechanic roll to get it open, get its panel open.
I only made it by 10.
That's so tragic. You get the panel open in a very deft fashion that is probably not showing to whatever cameras and whatnot. Yeah, you're definitely not the first person to have been hacking. What is this mess?
This panel
are these
has an extra
wirings?
hinge on it to make opening it easier. So that it's been opened more than once. It's been designed to open.
Well, it's not that part. That's more like it's actually been poorly put back together, as if something had wrenched its front panel
What?
open, and
What?
There's
Amateurs!
there's some kind of restraining bolt on the inside. Normally those things are on the outside.
Okay.
People like to
This
know.
is a hack job. This is a hack
Yeah.
job. This will not stand. Electronics repair by 10.
What precisely are you doing with your electronics?
First of all, restraining bolt on the inside, that's not where it goes. If there's a fault, it can damage other equipment. And you don't want to damage equipment by accident. You damage it on purpose or not at all. It's just proper thinking. Also, these wires are color-coded wrong. That's the ground. You don't use red for the ground. You never use red for the ground. Okay, one time I did that, but I was a rush job and it was going to blow up anyway in about a minute, so it didn't matter. But in this case, I summarily checked to see if there are explosives in there. But that's because I always do that. Anything that looks wrecked or hack jobbed, I am putting things back the way they're supposed to be.
Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. Access my databanks have been wiped. Are you?
Oh dear.
No, you are not. You are not my new master.
I'm willing to take an offer, but right now, I felt insulted by what had been done to you. Hopefully, I've fixed it as much as can be fixed.
It is as much as can be fixed. I do not know what happened to my former owner,
Well, do you remember
Miss Nillim.
getting here?
Miss Nillim. Yes.
Miss Nillim.
You have not heard that name before.
Okay. I will make a note of it in the chat and never see it again because I post too many GIFs. You will probably have to play along with the ones who believe they still control you, simply because, well, simply
Of course.
yeah. However,
Yes.
I'm going to give you some coordinates for a ship.
You wish Miss... You wish Miss Varula to go to the ship?
I have some associates who might be interested in having a conversation. And the conversation might be with the people who think they're controlling you. But before that, I think we'd rather have a conversation with you specifically.
What do you wish to know, sir? Do you...
I don't know.
We?
I haven't been told yet.
The droid looks around. I don't know. Are Zisha and Zwolrock hanging around?
Zisha is leaning against the wall right outside the weapons check.
Oh, okay.
Zisha would also like to note that what she told Rotini was, I might need you to do some convincing to that droid.
Yes, the player is aware of this. Rotini would have seen the hack job and been morally
outraged.
Yes. I believe the line in Real Genius was, it's a moral imperative.
That sounds about right.
Yes. And all other plans were thrown out the window, and now he's trying to no longer be lost in the sauce, which is fitting because his name is Rotini Parmesan.
So the sauce is the only thing that's missing.
It's an Alfredo.
No, he's an oregano. Well, was.
It's funny because of Dungeons and Dragons.
Zwolrock, and where are you, just so I know?
Sticking around near Zisha.
All right.
Oh, that's actually on the map. There's a dot on the map above, between the N and D in landing. And
I forgot to move myself on the map.
Up by the Bucephalus token.
Yep.
That I just moved accidentally on top of the dot?
Yes.
I see it.
I was trying to scrub that off my monitor.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
It's like when
So
someone
sorry.
puts an image on Tumblr or something with a little speck on it and they say that your screen's dirty.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I mean, I just assumed that it's... Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to come out of the weapons check.
I'm just imagining
Well-
Zisha being very non-conspicuous or inconspicuous, and then Zolrock standing next to there doing what they believe is being inconspicuous.
Looming inconspicuously. After an
Doing a good
appropriate...
job, buddy.
After an appropriate time for a ragtag bunch of adventurers to be divested of their weapons, they come out again somewhat grouchily and are still towing the refrigerated hover unit.
Rotini would not still be at the van. Rotini would have said, hey, here's these coordinates. When you can, come meet us or contact us using this code or whatever. and then moved away because Rotini did not know how much time he had.
The droid went, "Thank you, sir," and got back to and went back to waiting in the van. Anyway, you get the bundle of people.
Why do I think this is what I'm supposed to do?
For reasons. Zisha is waiting. Everyone comes out. There's a blue Twi'lek who's dressed like a spacer, honestly a lot like Zisha herself. There's the scruffy fellow who looks like some kind of colony person. There's somebody who has a lot of places where she had holsters on her
A
belt.
person from a colony.
Like a mining colony. That you've seen these.
Yes,
sort of
no.
people. Yeah.
As opposed to a person that is a colony.
Correct. From a colony. A colony person in the sense of they look like a grounder.
Gotcha.
There's a person who looks like she has taken off like 6 different weapons at least and is somewhat grumpy about it. She's got a little bit of cybernetics on her. There's an Ardenian who, dressed like a spacer pilot. The little monkey types with, I think they have 4 hands and no feet, basically. There's a soldier.
Quaddy.
Alien Quaddy. There's the fellow who looks like a soldier. There's a fellow who looks like she's, and the girl who looks like she's quality of some kind or other, some sort of, fallen nobility. They look so ragtag band of adventurers, and they come out moving, just past Zisha, ignoring her and heading for the hallway that leads into the rest of the structure.
Of course,
Zisha is going to match pace.
Uh-huh.
Zisha is going to match pace as soon as she sees them come out of the door. Hey, gang. Named Zisha. You look tired. You look like you haven't been getting a whole lot of sleep.
They all sort of blink at you and do a certain amount of nodding, and the Twi'lek goes, "Hi, cousin. Yeah, it's been, dunno, weird dreams and stuff."
Yeah, you got a voice in your head saying you have to go somewhere?
What, are you having the same dreams?
No, but I know someone who is and who might like to meet you. You want to come with me?
We got to do something first.
That's okay. It'll be here I promise it'll be here when you get back, and I'm coming back here anyway, so I can just bring you with me.
No, we got to do it. We got to see if they'll put this in the auction. We have to be in the auction.
You have to be in the auction?
We have to sell something in the auction.
Okay, well, I know the guy. Why don't I walk you in there?
Sure. Thanks, cousin.
Hey, Roll Rock, do you want to come with me, or do you want to hold the taxi?
I will accompany you. I don't think the taxi needs holding.
All right. Hey, Ro, when the taxi gets here, tell him to wait for us. We'll be back in a minute.
Utini.
All right, let's go talk to my guy. I got the guy's name. I'm sure I got the guy's name. I don't remember the guy's name, but I'm sure I got it.
You got it when you got the comm thing, and I will grab that. Just scroll. Zethubra,
yes. I figured it was, EO.
Oh, good.
there's your.
Yeah, let's go talk to my buddy Zeth. We'll get your thing in the we'll get your thing in the auction, and then we can take you to meet my friend Nedra. Nedra's been having dreams and looks about as tired as you do. Trust me. And I think you would be delighted to meet her.
I hope so, I guess. I don't know. I'd like to get some sleep is what I'd like, but I've got
no kidding.
This job. We gotta.
Yeah, I'd like her to get some sleep too.
Fair. Real fair. Let's see.
All right, let's go talk to Zeth.
Sure thing. You all go wandering into the tunnel. And I'm going to check with Crash. How long have we been playing?
We've been playing for, I can't see that with my bifocals. 1 hour, 54 minutes.
That sounds like an excellent place to stop.
That sounds like an excellent place to stop. Thank you all for playing, and thank everyone for listening, and I hope that people are entertained that we are back to the smuggler lot. I'm entertained to actually be doing this plot because it entertains me. I said
I'm not entertained, but nobody asked me.
I'm sorry, Antuxa. This is 14 years before you actually come onto this, so I don't know how old you even are right now.
And Tuxa might be still going on digs with her parent.
Yeah,
I
probably.
am going on digs with my parents. I don't even have this accent yet.
Oh, poor Aunt Tuxa. Does anyone have anything they'd like to plug?
I know someone who writes
Well,
books.
Yes, if we're supposed to be talking about that kind of thing, then, well, this person Eo's mom writes books, and you should check them out at elizabethmccoy.com. But I don't know anything about that. I wouldn't read if, well, no, that's not true. You wouldn't catch me reading. I
All those
read,
reports
but you
I
wouldn't
sent
catch
you.
me reading.
You do it.
Oh, I
in
read those. It's
No, I'm not sure I
fiction,
believe
darling.
you.
Fiction. I read reports. It's the fiction that I have no time for in public.
It's possible some of the reports that Rand sent were in fact fiction. Were
Yes,
legit,
well, I'm not
but
supposed to
doesn't-
know that, am I?
So long as the numbers add up, it doesn't matter if they're the right numbers.
And speaking of numbers that possibly go up, Crash,
Yes, tell them about your website. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's important to you, and that's what matters.
The episode I edited today, you referred to it as a webbed site, which amused me
Yes,
greatly. Well, we take all these podcasts and put them on aaronbsmith.com/cogwheel if you want more tabletop shenaniganery. It doesn't just have to be
that's right.
GURPS.
It's one of those interblag things.
Pretty much, yes. We also have some
I
D&D
do not understand the HoloNet.
and Cypher System. And more Cypher System to come. That's the plan. Anyway, once we are able to wrap up the D&D games, which I said we're going to wrap them up over a year ago, and
Yeah,
cool
well.
things keep happening.
Mhm.
It's the campaign that never ends. Anyway, you can also follow us on the Fediverse. is.aaronbsmith.com/@cogwheel to follow us there. And you can also become a Patreon patron by going to patreon.com/cogwheelgaming and helping us keep the lights on, along with other illustrious patrons, including Ellie, Shen, Walter, Liv Droman, and patron emeritus Cindy.
And until next time, this is Ellie saying, help, please. And Tuxa is inside me and won't shut up. Stop talking like that. I am going to have my day whether you like it or not. Please, please subscribe to the Patreon. It's the only way.
This is Beth saying, "Hi, cousin. My name's Arthur Varula, and how did you know we don't get enough sleep? Huh. Good night, everyone."
Well, it's
And
just
good
bags
night,
under your
darling.
eyes have bags under your eyes.
Yes, I know a line of makeup that will help with that.
It's like spackle because
Please
it is.
push the button.
Push the button before Tuxa talks again.
And Tuxa has talked. Freya Tuxa does not talk further.